you know, to wrap up, Saturday, obviously, like I said, after the game, it's extremely disappointing performance. For the things that that go into the preparation, the work, obviously all elements that go into that to go try to be the best you can be whenever the game kicks off. I thought our guys, I thought there was a good week of preparation. In regards to even having to adapt and adjust to some of the changes with the storm and all things there. There in the first half, I thought we showed some well in some areas. Had a couple mistakes, things that cost us. We got down inside the 5-yard line, weren't able to score. Had a bust in a coverage, which allowed a explosive touchdown. We didn't play as good as we could, but we're still going into halftime as a 5-point game. Coming out in the second half, obviously you kind of a disaster play on the drop ball, tip ball, interception. That gave them a short field, and obviously a quick score, and I didn't think that we responded as well to adversity, as what we need to, and is what I believe that we're capable of. And we got to a point where even when we scored, it went to a 12-point game. We came out. I felt that as a momentum boost. I felt like we went out there, we got a 3 and out, and then there was the call on the face mask, which is what it is. I mean, that was a game-changing play for us. So we got to stop. Obviously, whenever that extended the drive, and really at that point, that was probably the most disappointing aspect of the rest of the game, because I didn't feel that we rose to the level of response that was necessary. And it was it really was a kind of a gut punch in that situation. They went down and were able to score. Obviously we had they had the 2 scoring drives there, and then then we had the pick 6, and it just kind of all built upon itself on that. And it was and that's the things that as I talked to the team yesterday, as you go back and watch the film, it was the lack of response there in the second half when things didn't go the way that we wanted, the way that obviously we needed it to go. And that's where you got to have guys that step up and who's going to take control of that, who's going to be the who, because we could talk about leadership and what is that and what does that look like. Well, in those moments, the leaders go make the play. They go stand up, give all that they can, and go execute in the moment. And that was what was lacking. And we've seen that in the past. We've seen that even the week prior to finish the game. We saw that in tough and challenging situations where guys answered the call. They were put in the moment and went and made the play. And we didn't have those plays made there in the second half when things didn't go well. And it was a disappointing outcome. And obviously coming back, we have to go get better. And this week, we got a great challenge, with the team, is playing probably as good as anybody in the league, one of the better, playing as good as probably anybody in the country right now, and what they've done. And right now we probably played on the complete opposite spectrum of that. So, we've got to have a great focus on us, and we got to have a great focus on our improvement, from the details, the work, the response, all things that are critically important for us to go and get better. But, I I've said it multiple times throughout, and I thought our guys came back, and last night, and it was a good work day, and I thought they, the ownership of action, the things that showed up and occurred, and then the willingness to go jump on a practice field. We got back at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning, and so it was an early morning. Obviously a short rest, but they came out and they pushed, and it was a good start to the week. But it's the application, all things throughout the week, and making sure that we're doing everything in our power to go be our best come Saturday night, and that will be our focus. And obviously we're going to do everything we can to put our guys in a position, and then to be able to go out there and execute in the moment.
First question will be Ira, front row on your right. how is DJ health-wise, and how did Brock look when he was out there to you, and what's going to go into the decision-making process this week?
Obviously, yeah. I mean, DJ is something we're going to evaluate throughout the course of the week. And kind of go see where it goes from there. And I thought Brock, going in all reality, I said it after the game. I mean, at that after the interception, just kind of where the game. I mean, it was decided I was going to make the change. Obviously, DJ did have the the injury there that as well, but just wanted to see that opportunity for Brock to go in and have a chance to execute. I thought he did some good things. Had a nice throw that wasn't that we didn't finish on. I thought he did miss one of the vertical shots that had an opportunity. I thought was a touchdown play. And then but overall operation of what he was asked to do was good. It wasn't shocking to me. Brock and Luke both do a great job in how they prepare. They try to prepare as if they're going to play every play in the game. And if you do that, then when you get in the game, it's usually going to translate a lot better for you. And I thought he was ready for the moment. And obviously those guys both have to go and prepare at an elite level this week. And we'll see how things play out throughout the course of what this week holds.
Come to Chris, front row on your left. You guys played a good bit of depth in that game, and especially some young guys that hadn't gotten burned previously. How did they handle it? How much do you continue to try to push and get more guys out there and see what they can do?
Yeah, it's going to be a continued push to put the best guys that can go out there and be productive and be able to make plays there in the moment. And there are open doors of opportunity, and there's a lot of evaluation. And it is an absolute push, at every position for guys to raise the level of productivity, and to, for guys that are looking for more, they've got to go earn more. And anybody can talk about it and sit there and say, well, I want to be playing, or this guy should be in, or that guy should be in. But ultimately they got to show that they're prepared for that, and the way that they work throughout the course of practice. And then if they do a job that shows that builds confidence in their teammates, in their coaches, and everybody that they're ready for that, then when that door opens, you got to go perform. And I thought there were some good things. I thought there were some good plays, and there was also some moments for some of those young guys to see that the areas of improvement, and that sense of urgency for improvement is there, and obviously we'll build upon it.
Stay here for Brendan.
How did you consider, and maybe to clarify, when you played Brock, was it because of DJ's hand injury, or was it just time to
No, I was going to. When we had the pick six, that was a. It was going to be an opportunity for Brock to go in there, and it was I think 13 minutes or something in the fourth quarter, I believe, and I was making the change at that point, and I'll say this: it was there's a lot of things that we go back and look in the game, and DJ did make a lot of good throws that throughout the course of the game, and some good decisions. He made some poor decisions and a couple bad throws that it's. But you got to surround and you got to help the quarterback position, and I don't think we've done a good job of that consistently. And at the end of the day, we all have to have ownership in that. And so for what that was, it was, and from protection to finishing plays and catches when you get the opportunities, and then making sure that the quarterbacks are making the right reads, putting the ball where it needs to be, and playing at a high level. So it is all things, but at that point, it was I was definitely going to make the change there for that game.
All right, we'll go second row for Jordan.
Coach, in the second half, when your team doesn't respond like that, is that more of the coach's message falling flat, or the players not playing with the right attitude?
No, coach's message doesn't really change here. It's go be the best you can possibly be, and you go and respond to. Don't be driven and affected so much by the circumstance. It's still about the opportunity, and you got to if you're a real one, you're going to rise up. And I say that and I believe we've got a football team full of real guys, and guys that have done it before. But if you get caught up in the circumstance, right, you put yourself in a position, right, to to be swayed by the emotion. And nobody wants to be down. Nobody wants to be put in tough situations. Nobody wants to have anything bad ever happen to them. But when it shows up, I mean, who are you? Right? And the real ones, they rise up and they go make the play. They want that. They are willing to step forward. They're willing to take the brunt of all things and still just put themselves out there. And that is a challenge. Right? And I told the team right there, after the game, and I told them again last night. I mean, if that's leadership, because real leaders are not affected by just the swaying of the wind. Because if that, then you're going to be, you'll be up some days, you'll be down some days, hot and cold. But if you got a purpose and you're an absolute, what you think you are or say you are, then go be it and be it consistently throughout the course of the game. Whether you're up, whether you're down, let that show up. And if you get discouraged or disappointed because the outcome is not where you want it to be, and you hold back, well, there's the hesitation, and sometimes there's a lot of things that go into that. It's whether it's the fear of failure, or the fear, the disappointment of coming up short. I mean, but that's part of it. Right. And, ultimately you got an opportunity, you go out there and, you go make the play. You take all the things that you've worked to do and you put them into action in those moments. And, it's our job as coaches to help put those guys in the best situation, to help showcase that, to help them in that response. But, I mean, that's where we all have to get better. And, as a coach, as players, I mean, in those moments, but that's where we have to be our best, and we have to be the realist to who we are and what we're all about. And you can point back to reference and look back, and a year ago we won 13 games during the regular season and championship, and 4 of them we were down 10 points. Right? And what happened in every one of those opportunities? Well, the real one stood up, and some of those guys that are on this team right now were those guys. But now, as we, and I said this, throughout the preseason and all of it, is like watching a team. You always, you build it, you put it together, and the excitement about what the potential can be. And I am the ultimate optimist. I see what people can do. I see what I believe they can become. I see what I feel and what I have a sense of the potential of a group. Right, but it still comes down to the moment of truth. And I think I was asked the question maybe in the opening press conference, what's your concern about that? Well, it's in the moment of truth, what's it going to look like? Right? Because you still have to have the guys that step up in that moment and be what they're capable of being. Right? You have to have coaches, players, everybody involved. Like when it doesn't go the way that you necessarily want it, because it shows up in every game, every year. Very rarely you look at a team that wins a championship and see just the smoothest of rides, because that response has to be a part of building, the core of it. And I don't think we've handled that very well. And, it's not from a lack of want to, but for whatever it is to make that connection, to go execute then, to be able to make the catch, make the block, make the tackle, to make the throw, whatever that part of it is. And now we've seen flashes of it. Right? I have seen some positive responses. It's just not been consistent enough for us to play to the level that we're capable of, and that's what we have to continue to work and get better at.
Stay there for Kurt.
The change on the depth chart with the co-starters at quarterback, is that just because of the uncertainty about DJ's status, or is there a world where a change is made kind of independent of injury, even if DJ was good to go?
Well, I mean, obviously DJ, it's like one of those. Like, I really don't care about a depth chart, to be honest with you. Right? It really means nothing. And so to put a status like DJ didn't finish the game because he couldn't finish the game. Now, I've said that I was going to put Brock in at that moment too, but obviously right now there is a little bit of uncertainty of status. We'll see what that looks like as the week goes on, but it doesn't really matter what I put on a depth chart.
We'll go to Liam, second row on the right.
It's going to be another depth chart question. I'm sorry, but I had to. You've got 3 tight ends. Obviously, the interception, Kyle kind of bobbled it and goes in the SMU player's hand, but Landon gets his first touchdown. Just what did you see out of those guys in that tight end room to lead to that decision?
Yeah, I mean, that's a position where you have to be better. And, You look a year ago. I've got confidence and belief in Kyle. I do. And you look a year ago, when you look percentage of opportunities and targets and catches and guys making the play, he was as good as anybody we had. And we had some really, really good pass receivers last year. This year, there's been some struggles. There's been some tough moments. There's been, that was obviously a huge play in the game, and there's nobody more disappointed in it than Kyle. And but right now, it still comes down to production, to execution, and so if there's doors of opportunity are there, then guys have to take advantage of that. And obviously I was really happy for Landon to be able to get that first touchdown. And you can go through the game, and there's still some things that he's going to have to take some great strides in to continue to be what I know he's capable of. But that position has to go and get better. And and you can see it across the board in this wonderful depth chart that we put out. That there's still there's a lot of positions that have to be better. We're not playing very well. And so I did suggest put an or on everybody, but it's it's not it's at the end of the day, we got to go do it. And it's the belief that I have in the guys that I get to coach. That's unwavering. Because I am around them as much as anybody. And so with that, it's what you do in the moment. And that's where we get to prepare our butts off and go push to be better. And then when we get out there on the field, better has to show up. And if it doesn't, then there's got to be somebody that takes advantage of the opportunity and goes and helps this football team win games.
All right, we'll go back to Ira on your right.
Thanks. I'm going to preface this. I'm going to start off with an individual player, but it's about the position group. I was watching Darius before the game, and he seemed to be very animated, like he was trying to get guys fired up. And he was the one that looked like was giving the little speech before they went in the locker room. But then he has the false start, and Maurice had some bad snaps. And that offensive line, like you would think that would be a group that the team could lean on. What do you think's gone wrong for that group?
Yeah, there's been a lot of change in. Availability, guys that have played, where they played, what they've done. We do have probably the two guys that are with JB being out and kind of, he did get to play there in the last game, but, with Darius and Maurice, those guys are two guys that have played well here and have played at a high level, and, they have to be it. And I've got, once again, just perhaps the last question I just answered. I've got the ultimate confidence in what they can do, but in those moments, they have to, as the leaders. It's got to show up, and I think that's where that's a responsibility. It's a challenge. It's all of it. But they're built for it. They've lived through it. They've been through it, and it's what this team needs. And guys that have been out and been productive in critical, challenging, hard situations, well, we need that now. And that is where I know it's like, well, you put your finger on why that's what's you get frustrated with as a coach of the things that you're looking at through preparation, the things that you've done that even these individuals have been very successful with. Well, now it's, what are the tweaks? What are the things that, where we can eliminate some of those mistakes, because they are amplified mistakes when it comes from them. It's a first-year starter, if it's somebody that's new to it, that there's still some things that they're working through, but that's another part of the challenge to them and the challenge to us, because we got to make that connection. And I would tell you, if I sat there and watched these guys and I felt that they were pulling back, or it wasn't. You mentioned like in pregame, Darius doesn't even like to talk. He doesn't really just enjoy doing that, but he wants it, and he wants it for this team, and he's willing to try to push, to try to encourage. But then, in those moments, you gotta stay focused on those little things. And that's why I'm grateful for him, willing to take those steps. And now it's about let's just control the things we can control as well, and continue to bring both, because that's what this team needs.
Come back over here to the left for Brendan. On the interception return for a touchdown, there was a few players who seemed to be hustling. Kentron, LT. Did you see that enough widespread from from everyone responding to the miscue there?
Yeah, I mean, you want, were there guys that counted for loafs? Yes. I mean, it was not uniform of what it was, and obviously those are things that every play we grade, and so, but I did. You celebrate the guys that are putting on display what the expectation is, and that's where for us you got to continue to push that standard, and we have obviously there's accountability in all things, and how we play in the good and how we play in the challenge is all like I said, it's a reflection of the identity.
We'll go second row on the left, back to Kurt.
I see Richie Leonard not on the depth chart this week after he didn't play. I guess what is his status? And then on top of that, the two guards who got in, Bryson and Andre, how did they perform? I know they're listed as co-starters now.
Yeah, I meant to mention that in the opening, but Richie Leonard will be out the rest of the season. Unfortunately, had an injury that he's been dealing with, and it's kind of got to a point where it's greatly affecting his just ability to be able to go out there and play, and so he'll be out for the rest of the year, unfortunately. And then obviously with the opportunities of Otto and Estes, I mean those guys they're guys obviously Bryson's been in the program for a long time. Had an injury coming out of a spring, basically missed majority of fall camp, and so he had to. He's had to kind of work himself back into it. I thought he had a really good spring, but our guard play, it's not been as good as it needs to be, and that's it's the reality of it. So I mean, those guys are gonna push for opportunity, and we've got to go get better. And I thought Andre, he's still young and still growing in a lot of areas, but I mean, you felt his presence. I mean, he moves well. He plays with physicality. And that's what those guys. I mean, they, every chance they get to step on that field, they got to go play confident, play fast, and be able to transition those techniques and fundamentals that they work on, in the course of action.
Stay there for Jordan.
Coach, 2 weeks in a row, the defense has given up over 400 yards of offense to the opposing team. Is there one thing that you can point to of what you guys need to do better on the defense side of the ball?
Yeah, I mean, we got to help eliminate the explosives. I mean, and when there was. I think it was 5 different plays where, a couple of coverage issues, and and just to be real, it's two of our better players that shouldn't happen. And when those things show up, we've got to take accountability, ownership. Players, coaches, everybody involved. Making sure that we're clear in that expectation and its application of that. But we got to eliminate the explosive play. Obviously, I thought we're still too loose in areas there in the run game. We got to make sure that we set the edge, and guys are aggressive to setting the edge of a defense, because too many times the ball got outside when we have people that are in position and need to go force to get it back to everybody else, and just the just a little bit too much hesitancy when it came to that. But I did, there with the negative. I mean, there was also some guys that I saw that played at a higher level, and some guys that had were more short tackling, that were playing more aggressive, that you were playing with more confidence in what some things we were asking them to do. So we've got to build upon that with all 11 guys that are out on the field.
All right, last one. We'll go to Ira.
Aside from the quarterback situation, how many different things have you guys tried to do offensively? It feels like from week to week there have been tweaks and things you've put in. Are you finding anything that you feel like this offense can do, or do you have to keep trying new things?
Yeah, I mean, I think even in that game the other day, you see the opportunity. I mean, you see the opportunities for the, whether it's for the explosive, for the the routine, whether it's but it's the we have to eliminate the self-inflicted issues, and I mean. Whether the first, I guess the second, third down, we have the snap. We've got, we've had a couple, missed assignments of things that, like ad nauseum, you go over and is executed in practice, and even when it's been a mistake, you go back and you hit again, and then when if it shows back up, further, then, that's where you have to look at where's the disconnect? Is it focus? Is it understanding? Is it, whatever that is? But, as somebody has a history of, being on the offensive side of the ball, you look, are we creating space? Are we creating opportunity? Are you creating numbers, leverage? Those things that are important. And then, for guys we had a couple of explosive plays that got called back for whatever, for a holding penalty, or we get drop ball or a missed opportunity or something that's those are the things that we have to be able to finish on. And it's one thing if I'd never seen them do it, but it's also you got to carry it over. And we're going to continue to adapt and adjust. I mean, I'll say until because our performance on offense has not been good enough. But when you have those opportunities and you have the space, we got to capitalize on that. And the playmaking ability, which I do think we have. I mean, it's got to show up. And that's one of the things that we're going to continue to push towards. But I do believe that it is there, and I do believe that there are capabilities of what it can be. And we get a great challenge this week against a great defense to try to go put it into place. And that's what we'll work towards this week. And I'm excited to see our guys respond to it.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you, guys.
I was just asking Coach Norvell, watching him pregame, Darius seemed to be more animated than usual. Like, it looked like he was trying to get guys fired up. But then he has a mistake, it looked like, on the false start. I don't know if it's a communication thing. But just that group, and Maurice had a couple issues in that game too. It just, are those guys it feels like those guys should be the group that the offense maybe leans on because they've played so many games and started so many games. What do you think's giving them troubles? I know you've had different guys in and out of the lineup, but those guys have played so much football.
That's the general deal is with the O-line is because it's the only unit on the field, so the unit gets the bulk of no matter what happens or what player is having a struggle, it'll be always blamed on the unit, which is the way we want it because we don't want to isolate it. But Darius on the false start was a tempo play that we usually go a little bit faster. DJ saw it look and he tried to change it after already calling for the cadence, so that kind of stalked Darius a little bit, so you had that miscommunication. But I thought Darius responded because he's a little bit healthier as well. He went down and didn't play in the Memphis game and came back last week, started to show little signs, and now he was feeling a lot better for this week, and it showed in his play because the unit didn't perform the way it needed to, but he had a better game. He blocked better. He protected better. So, him, and then like Jeremiah, this was his first game back. I plan on playing him about 40% of it just to kind of get him back going. He protected better. Still has some struggle in the run game, but playing high because of the type of injury that he had, so his hands got high. So he got 2 holding calls, which exposed, killed 2 drives. So that's also understanding that, hey, you're not healthy, but you still can't have those kind of flaws and fundamental mistakes. And also I thought where we struggled is with the guard positions. And that's why that opens up that competition for those young guys to create that opportunity. So you do see the oars coming in because, hey, you got to get that job done. So I thought in protection, the tackles did fairly well. Mo had the bad snap trying to rush because I thought they had a good beat on timing of inside pressures with the double A gaps. So one time he rushed the snap trying to get over. The next time he didn't. He tried to make sure the ball got back there. The guy had a good jump, and he almost came clean free to create a pressure in the A-gap on an obvious passing situation. So that kind of threw him off of it, and I got to do a better job of giving him obvious pass cadence help. It can't be the same cadence from the base down, because when you're an obvious pass and they're not necessarily worried about, you got long yards, everybody in the stadium know you're passing the ball. They're not worried about containment. They're trying to go get it. You got to give them a little bit of advantage of it, whether it be changing snap count, going on a freeze, or double clap, anything that you can do to try to get them advantage when you're having to snap the ball and go to an A-gap rusher with the power deal. And then on the other pressure was a pirate where they did a 3-man loop, and I thought the guard said too wide. So I was disappointed in Ferguson, where I said the left guard position in pass protection, the right guard was more run game. So that creates the competition. So that's why you saw Otto Estes got in there. Otto got in there. So it's still trying to find the best 5 out there, because if one mistake happens on the inside, the O-line looks bad. You know what I mean? So it's just really putting guys in there who's showing improvement. But I think as Darius has gotten healthier, JB is starting to take them steps to get healthier and play more plays. That does assist in getting us back to what we think we should be.
How would you assess Brock's play in the 3 or so series he had? And I guess what's the confidence level in if he has to play or if he starts this week?
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of confidence in Brock. It's not like a lack of confidence in Brock, but Brock has also been taking the steps to show his command. It's still a responsibility to show when you do this, you can do it. And so he's still growing at his deal. I thought last year he got dealt a raw deal, and sometimes people they underestimate confidence when you put a guy in almost an impossible situation, with him missing most of your last year and having to come in at a critical part of the season, and kind of stepping up and not probably having this early success that he wanted to have, and also being injured as well. So I think growing and building it the right way of understanding what's best for the individual versus panic mode and trying to just come up with things like what's the best to give him the confidence and to be able to go perform where if he does perform, he gets the success level need to still grow and things like that. Because I've seen a lot of deals go bad if you're not caring for the individual success and the individual growth, and you can take a step backwards if you're not fully ready for that.
Coach, 3 interceptions, 3 fumbles that you guys recovered. What's been the culprit with some of the ball security issues for the team so far this year?
Yeah, I think the main thing is pressing, trying to, the same thing I talked about before. You don't have to. Sometimes ending a drive with a kick is not a bad deal if you have to do it, But if you force and you try to stress, or you're trying to get that extra yard and you forget about your ball security issues, that usually equates to what happened with that game last week. And where you go from a season where last year you had 4 on the season, and now we're surpassed that by so much. That's the reality of what those scoreboards are going to look like if you give the other team the ball in those possessions. So we have to understand that it doesn't change the level of success that you need on one play doesn't affect the next play, no matter what circumstance you're in. Just do your best for that one play. You don't have to go get it all back on that one play. So if we're rolling out, trying to make a play, undercuts it. LT carrying the football, trying to go get that extra because he wants to rush for this many yards, and now they rally to you. They start stripping a little bit harder and being aggressive to the ball, and having that understanding that get was there, strain, and then play the next play. And you're not going to get it all back on one play. So we got to do a good job as coaches for them still understanding that mindset to see it from our point of view in that, and not as the world point of view where it's all on you, you know what I mean? And I think, that'll help some of those issues.
I'm sure in your playing days and coaching, obviously, your first couple of years here, you've seen teams have lost games and gone through those, just the emotional toll of that. When you're watching these guys and what they're going through right now, are you paying closer attention than you normally would? And what are you seeing from just how they're handling what's going on this season?
Yeah, it's always different with each team. I was on that field when, we got booed and lost on a Hail Mary and I've seen it pretty much all throughout my span of my career, of the ups and downs, the overflows, and all that kind of good stuff. It's just really, this is why you do it, to see those overcoming moments. But it's also, and you hate to say it, sometimes this is the best lessons that they learn in their careers and performances. I think walking off the field with some disappointing things. I remember, 21 and 20 and 3-game slide in 22 that's not talked about from losing out there on that field 3 times or twice. And then to go through those painful moments and really stress, okay, who am I during success and adversity? Because you see both ways of it. Like you play a little bit better, and now you think, oh, now I might let up, and then bam, you get hit in the face again. Oh, I'm not playing very well. Oh, I got to stress. I got to play better. Bam, you still getting. So it's, can you handle success just as well as you handle adversity? And I think we're getting challenged like that because a lot of these guys on this team were able to have that success without necessarily being in position where you were the one with the reason why we were having the success. You still was a part of it and great of it, but now it's on you whether it happens or not. So understanding I got to be able to attack and find my process through the adversity and success, and I got to be the same all the way through, is a learned behavior.
With some of the issues Kyle's having with drops, is that confidence issue in your estimation? And then I guess kind of following up on that, when a player performs well in practice and you guys see them perform well in a certain area and it doesn't translate over to the field, like how do you rationalize that as a coach of, I guess, how do you grade value practice versus performance in game moving forward?
Yeah, because he caught a good catch on a seam route, so, your confidence grows when you see him doing that, and he was contested there, so you come back to a play that was wide open, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't thinking in the moment. I'm pretty sure it was a here it is again moment for him. And as we talking about mentally, because I saw him make a difficult catch there, and I was just watching even the film from the past years of him making those difficult catches against the team. There was times when he had to make contested catches, still, mind can go, oh, man, here goes the high, instead of just doing the routine thing you've always done. But I don't believe he's going out there saying, I'm going to mess this up and I'm going to let this thing hit me in the face. And I don't think that's the plan. But it's our job as the coaches to not only inspire. Now, we got to put people in position that's going to make plays. That's our job. But we also have to instill belief and confidence, because that's what we're here for also. So it's not just, hey, F you ain't, that's not our plan of approach, because he's still going to be needed at a point. There's still going to be a point in time where Cal Morlock will make a great play or a good play for us, and we're going to need him to be that. So I want to say confidence, but also just one play, one moment. Don't let the other moments affect the next moment. And each play is its own play. And I think as we continue to try to press that for him, hopefully we see the improvement.
It does seem like there's moments there where plays are called correctly. There's things that are open, but it's seemingly it's a running back missing an assignment, it's a receiver missing an assignment, et cetera, et cetera. So can you hold up the mirror at this point in the season and show these guys, we're dialing this up, it's open, it's there, there's a misassignment, or do you guys have to keep taking accountability as coaches and insulate the players from taking some of the shots of what's going on wrong right now?
Stand tall and take accountability for everything that's happening. That's where that phrase comes if you're coaching and allowing it, because in protection of the player, especially in college football, we want to be the ones self-accountable, the old school. I'm a man, I'm 40, Like, we want to be the ones that it's on us to however it's going, and we're going to take full accountability. But in these walls and in these rooms, it is a joint accountability of what needs to take place for success. So the conversations we're having in those rooms are always going to be challenging, and this has to happen and things of that nature. So that's why I still love the game of college, because, like, at the end of the day, anytime it's a bad run play or a bad protection, the O-line is going to take the blunt of it, which I think the O-line maturity level has always been they can take that heat a lot more than some skilled players can. But in reality, is sometimes it's time on the back. Sometime on the goal line play, we didn't get the defensive end, and he makes a play, but they're all the O-line, so it does give them a little protection so they can work on their things. But when we get in these walls, oh, absolutely, it is a group accountability of what we all need to do to make sure we're finding success that we're looking for, and this has to happen, or you're still going to have this internal feeling that you're having. So you have to learn the lessons of that feeling, because you have a little success the week before. How do we handle that success? And that showed up there. So that's how we handle success right now. How are we going to correct it? Or you're going to find that great, deep disappointment. Now, how are you going to handle that? So it's learning each step as you go.
Clemson's defense seems like it's a typical Clemson defense.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of a challenge? And if you do plug in some of those young guys, that are trying to earn playing time, are you concerned about that going up against that kind of defense?
Well, no, preparation is yourself. Of course, we have to plan and the things we're going to see and present the looks that, they're going to be multiple on defense. They're fast, physical, strong. They've always have been. I remember in 22 we played them and we rushed for a lot of yards. We still lost the game. I remember last year we played, we didn't rush for anything. We won the game. So you're still going to have your different challenges that they present, and that's why they always have been good on defense there. But also, it doesn't matter how good they are if we're not making sure we're in good shape to go match it up. If we're not making sure we got the best players out there to give us the best opportunity and we put them in the best position. So it starts with a self-evaluation as we're game planning for the defense. But, yeah, I mean, you're playing against probably one of the best front sevens in our conference. So you definitely got to make sure you put in the mindset of leverage, angles. The Peter Woods kid is an amazing player. I think he's going to be back. So it's really just the balance of ourselves in the building versus the plan versus the angles and leverage we need to create to go have success against a good defense.
Coach, we asked Coach Norvell about this on Saturday, but what happened from your perspective on the 2 runs from DJ in the second quarter when you guys didn't score?
Yeah, the first one was a quarterback run to the outside. We had a block leading on the safety from LT. I think he just kind of hit it inside. DJ hit it outside. That guy made the play. On the second run, we had a quarterback run, G-pull, and they had 2 basically to the call. Tight end got confused, didn't block the defensive end. He came unfree and tackles in the backfield. So 2 missed assignments from guys who have been reliable in making assignments. So as you talk about accountability person, but okay, is there something I could have done differently where maybe that could have been clearer to them, where they didn't have to think, or I could have got rid of that guy, or I could have motioned the guy. So that's why I said accountability take both sides. So we got to be better in those moments and making sure that if they are missing something, then did I make it clear enough? But also, if it's clear enough, you still have to go execute in the moment. So it's that balance and partnership to go get the success we need on both of those plays.
Sorry, just last week you guys kind of found some rushing success, and this week you guys kind of went backward. What happened with the run game on Saturday against SMU?
I really was critical on our communication and ID, starting from the middle. I thought they did a good job of disguising some things, but I thought overall it wasn't terrible, but we missed some opportunities in it where we could have had some big plays. And number 2 is I thought we got to be better at our guard play. That's just the reality of it. We got to be better and more consistent at those 2 spots to have the success we need at the run game. I don't think it's a lack of effort or trying or anything like that, but we have to play better at those positions in order to have the run success that we need. Thank you. Appreciate y'all.
Coach, obviously things got kind of away from the whole team in the second half, but the first half, how did you feel like you guys have played? It seemed like there were a couple of explosive plays, but overall, how did you feel like the defense was playing at that point?
Not the first drive at all. We ended up giving up, I think, 3 or 4 third down conversions on the first drive, leading to a touchdown. And, I think there were a few times after that in the first half that I think our guys started to respond and play better, but you can't start the game like that. And so I thought that our team needed that to start from us. I think we started, it was a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and we just didn't execute on the play to stop it. And, we really never stopped it on that drive. So But we go in the halftime, it's 14, whatever it is, and we got a chance, and we come out in the second half, and there's a sudden change, and we took a good step the week before in those opportunities, and they hit a one-on-one and executed. Hats off to them, but the teams that win make those plays, and the teams that lose don't, and we got to do a better job of making them.
Down the stretch, as the scoreboard got wider between the two, how concerned were you about the defense playing like the scoreboard reflected instead of just going and playing the next play?
I mean, I'm not naive to think the scoreboard doesn't get into people's minds, but you tried not to coach that way, and so, it's discouraging when, you get down, and you don't want it to be that way, but, you're trying to inspire them every minute, whether you're trying to get them back to center when you're doing well, or you're trying to regroup and make sure that you get focused on the important things when you're down. And so, just got to be better than that. But definitely frustrating when you see the score the way it got to be in the second half.
Coach, they hit two pretty wide open plays right up the middle on the pass, one with the flea flicker, one just seemed like a bust. What happened on those two plays?
I mean, the flea flicker was just what it is. They handed the ball off. He went in the line of scrimmage, and we got uneasy with our eyes and jumped it, and next thing you know, that's what happens. And so that was a huge play. That was one of the touchdowns. And, the other one that you're talking about, just we got too quick with our eyes off of a route. And thank goodness the mistake was not that it was made, but after that play, we created a blocked field goal, which helps, but it doesn't minimize the mistake because that's field position. Now, those are the two, those two plays in that first half were big plays, and obviously something that we tried to get cleaned up ASAP. And both times when it happened, there was, Coach, I understand, I made that mistake, but we can't make them, and so I got to constantly find ways to rep those plays in different ways, and but there's got to be some ownership of the players as well, and there was.
They were able to hit a few successful plays on 3rd and long. It's something you guys strive to get them, and you've been working on it throughout the season. Is there a common thread, common denominator, and why that hasn't been as sharp of an area as you would maybe like it to be this year?
No, there's not a common. If there was, we'd address it ASAP. Working on, on that first drive, there was a play that they've run numerous amount of times out of different sets, and they gave it to us, and we just didn't make the play. We didn't see it fast enough. And then, credit to the quarterback on one of those 3rd downs in that first drive. We got out of the pocket, and then when he got out of the pocket, we took our eyes off of a guy and went to the quarterback, and he found an open ball. The other two were 3rd and shorts that they converted. That was on that first drive. The rest of the game, they go 4 for 4 on 3rd downs of the first drive. We were a little bit better as the game went on, but still not good enough, right? One of the plays that he went to on when we got our eyes off of 3 down the seam was a 3rd and long as well on an empty set. So, definitely working to make sure that that doesn't happen. And, we were making some strides, and everything isn't everything. We took a step back in the moment on certain plays, but I trust that I'll get it fixed, and, players are creating some ownership as well.
It seems like, and I can't get into the X's and O's of it, but it seems like you guys have tried some different things defensively throughout the course of the year in terms of coverage. And at what point, do you run out of things to keep trying? And what going back to 3 years ago, one of the things you complimented Coach Norvell with was not really changing. Like when the team started 0-4, he stayed. Can you do that when you're 5 years into a program, or do you have to look to keep changing things up?
Yeah, well, I think, not going back and saying what I think you meant about when I complimented Mike, I think that wasn't, perceived. That was me just talking about him every day and how he acts and the structure he provides and the consistency he provides. I think schematically you always have to be open to, doing different things. Now, there's certain things that you can't get away from fundamentally, but I think you're always trying, different things, and you're trying to get guys, and because we all want guys to play fast, right? That's the company line that every program says, but playing fast in one call that has a weakness that everybody's doing doesn't really help that, right? So you need to find ways as a coach to maybe adjust. Okay, we've been playing it like this. Teams have finally caught up to that, or maybe this position isn't as strong as the opponent's position, so you need to adjust because that isn't going to play the same as it did against the other team. And so, Ira, I mean, it's a good question. You're constantly trying to stay in a step ahead. And when you're correcting things, it's hard to get ahead of it because that's two steps, right? You got to correct it, then start to work on the other thing. So, it's our job to anticipate those issues so that you can work ahead. But the season, I mean, you look at college football and, there's teams that think they're this, and next thing you know, they wake up and they're on the other side, and, vice versa. And so, the record is painful to look at right now. And there's been certain strides that I think we've made from that bye week that have shown up. And then it doesn't mean it's showing up all the time. And so it's my job to reflect, look at, and then proceed moving forward of, okay, everything isn't not working, but these things that aren't, like, how do we integrate it? How do we get it corrected in time to go play a good Clemson team? And, that's my job, and that's what I'm on right now.
After the game, I think Coach Lashley said on the first touchdown to their tight end, it was some sort of package they brought in terms of getting you guys to match personnel. It was something that he thought he saw from you guys. And
You're talking about on halftime in the second half?
first half, I think. Actually, no, it was second half. It was second half.
Yeah, it was after the sudden change.
Yeah, so
The first drive, yeah.
do you feel good about it, kind of matchup like that, where a guy like R.J. Maryland is one-on-one outside with a linebacker? Or do you hope to be flexible more so in those situations, or was a sudden change part of that problem?
No, I think anytime people put in, 3 tight ends and 1 back, or 2 tight ends and 2 backs, you always have to make a decision of, how do you match up with that? And, we're going to recruit in a way that, if it's a wideout, that's one thing, but, within tight ends, I got all the confidence in Blake. I mean, he's a good coverage player. And, I mean, it was a really good throw and catch. Would like that play to be made. Obviously, in hindsight, you'd like to have Azarie on him, right, and everything. And so, but that's something when teams go big personnel groups and teams get in a short yardage and goal line, you got to make decisions of, what is the matchup. It's the same thing when they go with just 2 tight end sets. There's 2 wideouts on the field. Do you adjust to the wideouts, or do you adjust to, the formation or the personnel? And, it's all about, what they are. And all due respect to their tight end, he did a good job on that play. But I do expect us to be better.
You mentioned a couple times players taking ownership of miscues or mistakes. I guess what does that look like on a Sunday meeting? Like, how do they discuss?
Well, usually it happens right after. Usually it's not the next day. Usually when something happens, and sometimes it just there could be a miscue that doesn't show up, and you've got to address because you see it as possibly an advantage for the offense moving forward, or even when you have success and it's not done the right way and you got to go to them. So there's all those opportunities when you coach it right when it happens. Very rarely do you not notice a mistake, and then on Sunday you bring up, hey, why didn't you do that? I mean, hopefully that never happens, but I think the ownership is, because everybody's defensive out there when things don't go well, right? Typically, like, find reasons why it's not your fault, right? It's this, it's that. But I think part of addressing when you're trying to improve mistakes is the first thing comes when you can identify the mistake and you take ownership of the mistake. It's a lot easier to correct those instead of chasing around ghosts of why and how.
Coach Norvell mentioned earlier you guys struggled to set a hard edge in the run game again this week. Is that a coaching issue, or are you seeing anything on film of guys not playing with the right effort and setting a hard edge?
Well, anything that doesn't go well is a coaching issue. So we're all clear with that, right? Because we put the player out there. We tell them to do this. And if it doesn't happen, it goes back to Brendan's question. Like, you don't say, well, I told them, it's not my fault. That's not good ball. And so you got to own all that. I did think we've done a better job of inside plays and when they bounce setting edges, but they got the ball in the perimeter a couple times, and we got to be better at corner and of just setting those edges when they come, or even if that's on safety when plays bounce, just some of the fly and perimeter sweeps.
You talked about college football. There's so many teams that they think they're one place. They wake up and they see they're on the other side of things. Mike called back to a remark he made in the preseason where he talked about just how much he liked this team, but you never truly know until that sort of moment of truth, which are these games. But when you find yourself at this point, like 1-4, what are the kind of questions you guys can ask to help get as much clarity as you guys can as a staff to figure out why you guys are indeed where you're at?
Not sure. So questions that we would ask of. Yeah, we got to stop on third down. Like that'll help us not be 1-4. We got to obviously set the edge a little bit better on some of the perimeter runs. I don't know if I'm answering your question great. I don't know if it's more of a philosophical question or just a nuts and bolts question.
More philosophical in terms of just how, not just you guys, but as coaches, how can the assessment in the preseason not connect to how things look after 5 games across the country in your history?
Well, if you go back, there's probably nobody that comes out of preseason saying they think they're going to start out 1-4. That usually doesn't happen. I think importantly of trying to find what your strengths are, going into each week and then trying to play to those strengths, I think is probably a very valid way to look at it, when you're coming out of preseason, because you're really going against each other. But it's our jobs, because I do think one of the most important jobs as a coach, I think the best attribute is your evaluation skills, whether that comes of who you acquire as assistant coaches, players, where you put them positionally, or how you view an opponent. I think the ability to identify those are really important.
You got some opportunities to play some younger players on defense. I know it's not really a group, it's individuals, but anybody kind of catch your eye, or what did you think of the opportunity that those guys got?
Really, I still think Quindarius is, earning his playing time. We got Edwin more involved, just at more nickel. He was coming off of that Cal game. We keep giving him more and more. So that will continue because, he's been somebody that he's earned more opportunities, but as you've given to him, you've seen his preparation and his mindset or, connectiveness to what's going on even elevate more, which is really the way you want it to look, right? But things are going to happen. Like, in the game, they hit him on one ball, which is, it's part of playing DB, right? I mean, balls are going to come your way, and, it's a make or break type of situation. But, Ed, and really, there was nobody in this game that we said, okay, this guy's going to play more. It's, it's been Juice, it's been obviously Blake at linebacker, it's been Quinn, it's been Ed, it's been Conrad. Jabril Rawls showed up on special teams, and, he's been getting a little bit more activity. And then, Byron went down in the game, so Hester kind of gave that fourth DN role a little bit. So that would really be the only one that played a little bit more of a role than he had in the first couple weeks.
Is there anything that you guys can kind of pinpoint about Cade Klubnik and just how far seemingly he's come in one season and how much more dangerous that offense seems this year as opposed to last year?
Yeah. I mean, I thought last year he was a talented player, quick release, good mover, pretty accurate with the football. I think he's really stayed away from turning the ball over this year, which has helped him. They had some exchange issues last year. Those aren't showing up as much, which has helped them hold on the ball. And, they've been the first game was obviously not what they wanted, but they've been on a roll since, especially offensively, doing a really good job. And it starts with him. I think his accuracy on down the field balls have been outstanding, and he's dangerous with his feet. There were times even last year in our game that they were going to just try to run him and get as many blockers in front of him as possible. They were safe plays, so they still have that in their offense too. But I just think his ability to throw the ball down the field with accuracy right now and just, he's a year older. So, everybody wants to label guys as failures or superstars early. And, I think he's really starting to come into his own. But we've all seen the skills of him. And I just think he's playing with a little bit more ball security right now and doing a better job with it. And they've been having success because of it. Thanks, guys. See y'all. Yep. See you guys.
Punt coverage, but then you also had the hold on the other punt. What happened there? That group doesn't seem like they've had that kind of problem before.
No, a little bit. I think confusion of the look for the guys on the shield. It was Malachi Menzer who got the penalty. I think as he looked at who thought he was responsible for, he and one of the other guys was on a different page, so it kind of caught him by surprise, and he didn't have great leverage on it. I don't think the hold was necessary, but it was more of a reaction of seeing his guy late and then kind of just reaching out for it. Can't have that happen. Obviously, it was a big punt. I think it probably would have been a career long for Alex, which would have set up field position for us. Obviously, that changed that. But, yeah, inexcusable in terms of how that situation played out.
Can you talk about, I guess, philosophy when it comes to creating a safety and then that ensuing kickoff? Are up backs given kind of like a hard and fast rule when it comes to fielding the ball? Like, was there something there for maybe because I could have exploited on that sort of kick?
Yeah, so in terms of the first question was about the safety, creating a safety. We had on that we had a block set up and we're able to at least give the look of enough pressure to force a safety, which was a positive. On the ensuing kickoff, we always have a return set. There are some weeks where we will have what we call a sky return, which is off of a kick that goes to the other side of the field. If that's something that our opponent has a high tendency of doing. That wasn't something SMU had done, a lot going into it. They really hadn't done any of it going into it. So we did not carry a sky return this week. So when the ball gets kicked over there in terms of what the return that we had set up was, we had no leverage in our drop. So anything Keziah was going to get was going to be on his own. And, typically the rule of thumb is fair catch those situations.
Coach, the kickoff return game looked the last couple of weeks it had been getting close with Deuce and obviously regressed this past weekend. What have you seen in that situation?
Well, I think I actually still think that unit is pretty close to being very productive. But, like on a kickoff return, typically it comes down to everybody getting their block. And we've gotten to the place where, we'll put on the film and there's 9 or there's 10 guys that all are in the right place and one guy gets beaten and that's what happens, But I think we're a lot closer than people probably realize in terms of breaking one with that unit and given the right opportunity and great execution, we will.
2 questions. One on the kickoff return. Do you seem to go horizontal on a play? Is that by design or is that just, I guess? That
was a reaction. There was color flashed in his face, meaning somebody got beat on their block and he made a reactionary movement. That was not as on Deuce's as we missed somebody up in front of him.
And then Aaron Hester played probably his largest role this season. I guess how did you assess his play? Is there potential for him to keep building on that?
Yeah, I just saw Aaron actually a few minutes ago, and And I was pleased with how he went in there and played. I thought he was physical in the run game. I thought he executed his assignments, and it could create some opportunity for him to play more. When he got in the game, it was mostly run game that he was dealing with. But I do think he could be one of those guys that has the potential to provide some physicality and a spark. And I was pleased with his first real action and how he went in there and handled himself.
I think it might have been Coach Atkins. So it was the other side of the ball, but you guys are the same staff. He made a comment about handling success of the week before, and it seemed like, obviously the defensive front had been playing so well these last couple weeks. Did you feel like they maintained that, or do you feel like that they let something slip after the success the last couple weeks?
No, I mean, speaking for myself, I thought we had a good week of practice. I thought the guys had the right mindset. I thought, the focus going out there early. I thought the meetings, the walkthroughs, everything that led up to it was the guys were on point. So I had no feeling or indication that we were going to go out and do anything other than be at our best on Saturday night.
Does Cade Klubnik's athleticism, does that fall on par in terms of the discipline you guys have to have when you're going up against a guy like Castellanos from Boston College, or is it kind of a different level of responsibility you guys will have against him?
There's some similarities from an athleticism standpoint. I think there is the quarterback design run game element, and from that standpoint, we saw some of that from Clemson a year ago, and in that respect, there's some similarities to Castellanos or someone like that. But where I also think Kay does a really good job is in kind of the the quarterback scrambles, getting out of the pocket. Because they do have so many routes that go down the field, that does create space. So there's a lot of responsibility on the defensive front to make sure that we're very disciplined in our rush lanes and that we're able to keep him in the pocket and limit any scramble opportunities.
Also, just kind of from a big picture standpoint, when the team is struggling, the way this team is struggling, do you spend more time like watching guys to see how they're responding and their approach to the meetings, or has that been a concern at all?
It hasn't been a concern to this point in terms of how guys are approaching the meetings or the practice field, and really within the walls of the program, I think all I've seen from our players is the desire to get it right, to get it fixed. There has been nothing that I've witnessed that is negative, or I haven't heard guys talking about other position groups or other sides of ball or whatever the case might be. None of that has showed up. And, obviously you're always on guard to make sure that you stay unified and you stay together. But our guys have come to work yesterday. They came back to work. I think they want to get it fixed more than anybody, that I think they understand that the only way to do that is continued work and continued improvement. And, that's what we're going to go set out to do this week.
We're good? Okay. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.